Chapter 4. Drinking super minerals will stop cancer deaths. The advent of super minerals. I have given various explanations, but so far I have given results for treatment of cancer using supermineral water, a solution containing trace minerals in an ionized state. Cancer treatments have come thus far without paying much attention to inorganic substances such as metals, salts, and water. Judging that the search has been too focused on organic plants and animal materials, I have turned my attention to inorganic substances, minerals. Minerals include toxic substances like mercury and cadmium, and so great care must be taken. Minerals included in foods are organic minerals, and therefore easily absorbed by the body, but without ionizing inorganic minerals, their absorption will become almost impossible. Because minerals carry out their functions within the cells, it is imperative that they can reach the inside of the cells. It is for this reason they must be dissolved in water. During my research, I came upon a solution in which minerals extracted from ore were kept ionized. After naming the solution supermineral water, I experimented testing it on curing cancer as a treatment for cancer. It is still unknown precisely what role each mineral plays in the body. Well water from the foothills of Mount Fuji. Although they do no harm, up until now the effects of titanium, vanadium, tungsten, and platinum, etc., dissolved in supermineral water were not known. It has been discovered, however, that vanadium had a similar influence as insulin and that it causes the blood sugar level of diabetics to fall. The well water from the foothills of Mount Fuji contains vanadium and is actually used as treatment for diabetes. Similarly, platinum is already used as an anti cancer drug. As I await better understanding concerning titanium and tungsten, I feel there is a strong inkling that titanium is hiding some secret. It is because I suspect there is a possibility that titanium is linked to the immune system in promoting a cancer fighting function. There is no longer any room to doubt that minerals are effective in fighting cancer. Each active mineral contained in supermineral water is only present in a very small amount. Various minerals work in concert with so many different proteins, enzymes, and play the role of destroying cancer cells in a synergistic fashion. Superminerals in an ionized state. The minerals included in the supermineral water, which I use as a treatment, are dissolved in water in an ionized state. Only when minerals are ionized can the body absorb these minerals. This solution has yet to receive official approval as medicine, but when used alongside existing methods of cancer treatment, great results have been observed. A patient with stomach cancer, who had been diagnosed as only having a few months to live, visited my clinic. This patient had been advised by his doctor to undergo surgery as quickly as possible, but being advanced in years, he was in search of an alternative treatment without involving surgery. I arranged for the surgery to be put off for a short time and had the patient drink supermineral water. Perhaps, as a doctor, I should come under some criticism for recommending a method of treatment yet to be fully understood, but I was confident that the efficacy of supermineral water should not be ignored. I adjusted the concentration of supermineral water to suit this patient and had him drink 150 milliliters daily. Before long, the patient's pain began to recede and he started to regain his strength. In a few months, the cancer's size had decreased and he was able to go about his daily life without any inconvenience. His recovery came as a great surprise to the doctor who had recommended surgery. In another case, a female patient in her late 60s underwent surgery after developing ovary cancer, which later, however, recurred, leading to the removal of her entire ovary. This second operation should have succeeded in getting rid of the cancer, but it is from this point that the story becomes tragic. Because of the anti cancer drugs and radiation, she lost her hair and reached the point where swallowing food became difficult. She was made to suffer these side effects for a long time as she continued to take anti cancer drugs in order to reduce the possibility of the cancer returning. Even today in Japan, over 300,000 people die of cancer every year. That's how fearful cancer should be to us. The administration of supermineral water is effective against all types of cancer. There are two ways of treating cancer: A, direct treatment of the local area, including surgery and radiation, and B, medicine that affects the entire body. The actual recovery rates are 40% for localized treatment and 10% for anti cancer drugs. The remaining 50% of patients experience the unfortunate result. I have in my time seen many cases. While noting patients' lifestyles and controlling their diets, I have recorded results of those who drink supermineral water. I have confirmed that cases of skin cancer involving tumors of less than 5 millimeters will show signs of cure in 2 to 3 weeks. There are also numerous cases of tumors of up to 2 centimeters disappearing in 1 or 2 months, while even larger tumors have disappeared in a few months. If not the total cure, supermineral water has made improvements by stopping the tumor's progress while reducing their size and shortening the amount of radiation, thus boosting the treatment's effectiveness. These benefits have helped patients immeasurably. The administering of minerals displays remarkable results in the treatment of cancer in early stage, mid stage, and final stage of its digression. Minerals positively work against cancer. Taking away pain caused by cancer is linked to the healing of cancer. This is because, as minerals work to cure cancer, pain naturally becomes less. To put it differently, it is the same minerals that help remove pain that are attacking cancer cells. To explain why this happens, we must look for a scientific answer, but unfortunately, it is yet to be theorized. The device able to measure minerals has only just been invented. Measuring instruments of minerals have just been developed. We are still at the stage where we have been increasing the number of clinical precedents and examining the postulations. Verification that minerals' actions are effective on the human body is yet to be achieved, but as I have explained so far during this book, minerals are an effective treatment for cancer. I consider it wrong not to use something that we know works. At this stage, I am of the opinion that as soon as one drinks supermineral water, the metastasis of cancer will come to a stop. Because of the greater time frame patients are provided with, hospitalization followed by an immediate surgery is no longer necessary. Monitor their condition for about 4 months, and only if necessary perform the surgery. In reality, there will be many instances in which surgery will no longer be required. There may well be cases of harassment from the doctor in charge, where a doctor ignores patients' wishes and abuses his position of authority to create problems, and cases where a recovered patient is looked at with suspicion. Other typical cases. I received a call from one mother. Her 18-year-old daughter was suffering from Crohn's disease, an obstinate disease that affects the body's digestive system. Her intestine had become perforated, causing a festering peritonitis. She was barely hanging on to her life with antibiotics to stable her condition. The girl had a high temperature and was at a loss when informed hopeless. I immediately put her on a course of high dosage supermineral water. I had known a previous case in which a patient who had shown no response whatsoever, even to the strongest antibiotics, went on to recover through minerals from lobar pneumonia. This case turned out to be the same, with symptoms eventually stifled by supermineral water. However, a further problem was created despite the use of supermineral water because an ulcer remained in the stomach. The problem was that the hospital would not involve itself with the removal of this ulcer. The hospital argued that as this was a case of Crohn's disease, this disease will eventually cause another inflammation there. They are saying that since Crohn's disease is incurable, there is no medical justification to remove this ulcer. This, despite the fact that for this patient it was the matter of life and death there. It was then that a family member phoned me again to discuss the issue. I advised that it would be a good idea for the whole family, rather than just the patient, to meet with the doctor and request that the operation went ahead. In less than a week, I was informed that the doctor had, somewhat unwillingly, agreed to the operation and had decided the date on which it would take place. An otherwise healthy person suffering from Crohn's disease can be cured easily through a 6 month to 1 year course of low concentration mineral solution. However, if an ulcer remains following the treatment, the patient is forced to live their life as if they are holding a time bomb, so it is much better to have the offending tissue removed. Anyway, the operation was completed and the patient set out smoothly on the road to recovery. The very same doctor who had denied the operation, stating that Crohn's disease could not be cured, was heard to mutter under his breath that this patient was probably not in fact suffering from Crohn's disease. Even though costly consequences were more than likely, had the operation not taken place, the doctor showed no signs of remorse. Various cases of treatment which tell of supermineral water's effectiveness. At Saitama Medical University, there was a case of a patient overdosing on anti cancer drugs, in which pincristine, a medicine supposed to be administered once a week, was mistakenly administered daily for a whole week. The name of the disease that the murdered patient was suffering from was rhabdomyosarcoma. This is a disease which can be easily cured with supermineral water. If the family of the patient reads this book, they will understandably feel an incredible sense of injustice. This is a feeling that will, in the future, surely echo across the world as cancer patients and their families realize that they didn't grasp the opportunity offered by supermineral water, a treatment capable of curing cancer. There was another case involving a 62-year-old male patient suffering from rhabdomyocarcinoma. When he first visited me, he appeared to be in good health, but informed me that in 20 days he was due to undergo an operation on his thigh to treat rhabdomyocarcinoma. Following the operation, he was told he would no longer be able to stand up straight, something he would just have to accept. I told him that his legs were important as he would live a long life and sent the patient and his wife home. They understood what I was saying. They were persuaded. Supermineral water has the ability to halt the development of this tumor, so I advised that it would be better to agree to the operation only after trying supermineral water and looking at the results. Following this, however, a team of doctors consisting of professors, assistant professors, and some doctors from the medical center visited him, all of whom recommended surgery. I heard from his wife that he eventually went through with the operation. "He's so weak he couldn't refuse," she offered apologetically. Notwithstanding the operation, he had already consumed 20 days' worth of supermineral water, which would have separated the cancer tissue from the healthy muscle cleanly. This meant that the surgeon was able to complete the operation without removing excessive amounts of muscle. Thus, the worst case scenario was avoided. The result was that while not able to walk easily, with the aid of walking devices like crutches, he managed to get around. Of course, his health was not a question. 2 years later, I was told that he had completed a muscle transplant operation and was fine. "I should have put off the original operation a little longer," he lamented. The director of the health center's water. He is a 75-year-old man. I was working as the director of the Sawara Health Center in Chiba Prefecture when he slowly approached me asking to please cure his lung cancer. He has a 2 by 7 centimeter cancerous gland tumor, and as surgery was not an option, he was receiving radiation therapy. I recall saying, "Since I don't know exactly how much and how long you should take, please start on about 100 cc's. This was 9 years ago when I was still unsure about dosages and frequency. This patient was, in fact, able to teach me by estimating with his own body his appropriate dosage of supermineral water. After more than 6 months, when visible signs of his cancer had decreased and stabilized, he began saying that he did not feel like drinking this water as before. He had made a complete recovery by then. The problem started after this. The recovered patient began to recommend the director of the health center's water to patients he had met during his hospitalization and to other friends who were in the hospital. This man was fond of talking in such places as the barber shop, and it turned out that he knew many people. His friends, taking his advice, asked their own doctors for the same kind of treatment. The way they saw things, the hospitals were in the same prefecture as the health center, so there should be no problem. They naturally thought that there had to be a direct communication between the hospital and the health center, since they both belonged to the same prefecture. Having witnessed the reality, it is not hard to understand that patients who themselves were focused on their own recovery began to make a lot of noise. Cases in which I have brought about a complete recovery. The hospital, which sees minerals as completely unrelated to cancer treatment, interpreted this patient's recovery as radiation therapy working effectively. Even though we were colleagues in the same prefecture, I began to come under criticism. Soon the division head of the public health, who was on a temporary assignment in Chiba Prefecture, called me in. He said, "There is a problem where a person who is in a position to discern medical products uses something that is not intended for medical treatment." I objected. If it worked, there should be no reason why it couldn't be used. He simply replied that since it hadn't been proven as effective, its use was prohibited. I responded that understanding that this is effective, yet choosing not to use it, seems to go against the doctor's code, and that patients must not go untreated. On hearing this, his eyes widened as he insisted that doctors had to act responsibly when treating patients. Since then, I have heard no negative remarks from him, directly or indirectly. I sincerely believe that my actions then were consistent with doctor's code. What? No cancer? I received a telephone call from a lady who had been drinking super mineral water for 2 months to treat her cancer of the ovary. She said, Doctor, even though you checked my condition and explained to me that it wasn't necessary to rush into an operation, my regular doctor and my family wouldn't give me any peace, so I had the operation. My family wouldn't listen to me, saying that it was impossible to be cured just by drinking water. However, after the operation, no cancer was found in either my ovary or my uterus. There is a great panic, she continued. The patient can calmly look back at the incident and say, I am to blame. But I understand this became a huge misdiagnosis issue on the medical practitioner side. The family has complained that it was a misdiagnosis as they see no way that water alone could have possibly cured the cancer, while the pathologist and gynecologist both continue to insist that it was not their fault. I have seen for myself examples of menopausal disorders brought about by the unnecessary removal of ovaries. Knowing her old age virtually stopped her from getting pregnant. In these cases, the patient, who is in fact a victim, is not aware of the violations against their person and is often left with a feeling of satisfaction upon the completion of the procedure. A case of a doctor in Saitama Prefecture's Fujimi Hospital comes to mind, in which a doctor earned a considerable amount in fees from the unnecessary surgery he performed after overzealously diagnosing his patients with cancer of the uterus. There are so many cases following surgery in which either nothing irregular is found or where the problem is small enough not to have warranted surgery in the first place. However, either the patient mentioned earlier did not believe that this super mineral water would work wonders, and so at this moment neither has become a misdiagnosis problem. It worries me, however, that some fraudsters may try to make a quick buck by threatening hospitals sooner or later. If newspapers decide to take this matter to the public, I would not mind explaining what had gone on, but my hunch is that the hospital side will experience an overwhelming defeat. There should be, but there aren't. This is the case of a 35-year-old man suffering from a brain tumor. Following his initial operation, he began drinking super mineral water. Since being told that sooner or later the tumor would grow again, at which time he would require another operation, he had abandoned any hopes for the future. Though the husband himself was skeptical, he drank super mineral water to satisfy his wife, who was more convinced than he. He was surprised to see a change in his symptoms. 20 days after beginning the course, his headaches, the result of an inflamed brain, disappeared. He stopped feeling nauseous, and the tumor, which was expected to flare up again, showed absolutely no signs of getting bigger. A CAT scan revealed that there was an area of disorder, but it was not developing into anything to cause alarm. At first, the doctor in charge was confident that the tumor would soon begin to reappear, but as time passed and still nothing happened, he simply noted it as curious. The doctor's confusion and hesitancy were understandable, considering that up until now there had been no cases of a brain tumor's development being halted. What remained of the tumor and the surrounding support tissues had become a scar, a fact confirmed by both CAT scan and MRI, but is now something that can no longer cause any damage. In cases of brain tumors, surgery carries quite a high risk of side effects for the patient, as during the operation the scalpel can also damage healthy brain cells. This disadvantage is well recognized by doctors, which makes them more likely to agree to patients' requests that an operation be put back to a later date. With regards to this point, it is a bit different from ignoring the request to postpone the operation from stomach cancer, intestinal cancer, lung cancer, etc. I am of the opinion that it is far better not to operate in cases of brain and spinal tumors. I believe this because the after effects are particularly harsh. With the exception of a brain tumor, we may be able to get away by saying perhaps it might have been better not to have organs removed. But when it comes to brain tumors and spine tumors, the price we pay becomes too dear. Combating cancerous tissue by increasing the power of the immune system. I would like to introduce another case where supermineral water worked to dissolve a tumor that had grown to such a size that it could be seen with the naked eye. This patient had a knotted tumor in his stomach and was informed that surgery would be needed to remove it. I had him drink supermineral water with the date calculated based on the surgery to take place in 3 months. About 3 months later, an endoscope examination revealed some surprises. The tumor, which had previously been swollen to a great size, looked as if a major part of it was sliced away. Examination of a series of pictures showed a bag like structure wrapping itself around the tumor, gradually dying. The disease had weakened the body's natural defensive instincts, its immune system, which, thanks to supermineral water, was activated. The minerals therein brought the affected area back to normalcy. Minerals do not directly attack the cancer cells. Rather, they bring about a recovery of the body's immune system, whose functioning as a result of the disease has either been rendered ineffective or seriously weakened. Thus, minerals should be thought of as acting indirectly on disease by boosting the body's intrinsic healing powers. Similarly, it is more accurate to describe that most of the anti cancer drugs either kill cancer cells or at best prevent their growth. They don't strengthen our immune system like supermineral water. It is not that I am against anti cancer drugs. I merely want to bring light to the facts of results achieved through the use of supermineral water. The dinosaurs of the medical world, which completely ignore the effects of minerals, are faced with extinction. In America, there is an anti cancer drug designed to suffocate the new blood vessels created by cancer. The drug targets the blood vessels because they allow the cancer to spread. By cutting off their supply of a vast amount of energy, they make cancer lose its supply of nutrients and its development. Cancer cells propagate new blood vessels so that the energy they need can reach them. As the creation of new blood vessels is repeated, the cancer eats away at the body. The U.S. drug cuts off the supply lines, in effect, starving the cancer to death. Supermineral water works on the same principle. It spurs the body's natural powers of immunity and fights the chaos of and prevents the birth of new blood vessels. Supermineral water is also effective against diabetes. The more I understood supermineral water's effectiveness as a treatment for cancer, the more hopeful I became for its other potentials. Its efficacy against most cancers led me to believe that it could also be used to treat other diseases. That minerals work effectively against cancer regardless of both the kind of tumors they are faced with and their location in the body is due not to a direct assault on the cancer itself, but because of their action on the immune system. I was then convinced there must be diseases other than cancer that minerals can treat. Diabetes is an abnormality of the metabolism that causes high blood sugar and urine sugar levels to go up. It can also lead to further complications, including problems affecting the retina and the kidney, as well as arteriosclerosis. An increased blood sugar level means that more energy than needed is being supplied. The cells store this energy just in case it is needed in the future, but as they do so, they misbehave as if totally drunk. There are, of course, various causes, but an insufficiency of minerals has detrimental effects on the group of enzyme proteins which are responsible for the metabolism of sugar. This causes an extreme shortage in physiologically active substances. The regulation of the metabolism of sugar becomes impossible, and blood sugar, the source of energy for the entire body, rises. I then recommended supermineral water to diabetic patients. I was aware of the success of experiments with animals, which had already proven that, like insulin, vanadium, which is present in supermineral water, had a function to lower blood sugar levels. The result depended on the degree of the symptoms, but there were cases in which patients suffering only minor symptoms made a complete recovery. Even when a complete recovery did not occur, there were other notable improvements, where with some patients insulin became unnecessary, and with others secondary diseases disappeared. An obvious turn to recovery had been observed. Applications of minerals to other symptoms. Patients suffering from dermatitis who rubbed on supermineral water made by diluting the original liquid concentrate with water found their itchiness was relieved. When I used supermineral water to treat atopy dermatitis in children, there were, as I expected, good results. And here there is a graphic entitled When You Drink Supermineral Water, and again, you can see this graphic if you refer to the email that came with your book. The concentration of the solution requires adjusting for each specific disease, but I am already well on the way to formulating a workable treatment for dermatitis. Promising results were also observed when taken orally. 6 months into a course of supermineral water, improvements could be seen in atopy dermatitis patients. In particularly stubborn cases, 12 months may be needed before an improvement is seen, but these instances are extremely rare. Dermatitis can also be completely cured by taking supermineral water orally, the fundamental treatment, while at the same time topically on the affected areas. The general treatment for dermatitis, which relies solely on steroids, is insufficient. Although my mineral treatment offers a complete cure by itself, combining it with the external application of steroids once the healing process is underway is also effective. Because minerals get to work at the fundamental cause of the dermatitis, there is no need to take into account possible side effects if steroids are also temporarily used. As a precaution, other skin surfaces were tested for any adverse reaction to the minerals. These included the inside of the mouth, nasal membrane, and eye membrane. No problems were found. Direct application of the solution to the affected area is also an easy way to overcome athlete's foot. The disinfecting powers of the sulfuric acid, in which minerals are dissolved, work synergistically with minerals that activate the growth of new cells, and so after a few days the symptoms will be eased. Though still untested on severe burns, a 1 to 100 dilute solution of supermineral water applied to light or semi-severe burns spurs the recovery process, removing pain from the still swollen area to the extent that it can be touched the following day. This indicates that supermineral water penetrates the skin layers, activates the cells, and accelerates metabolism. Supermineral water is more easily penetrable if the blister covering the burn is broken. We can definitely prevent dermatitis infection from spreading. If minerals are introduced at an early stage to burn centers, commonly seen tragedies like keloids could be avoided. The ever widening possibilities for supermineral water. Other than the medical field in terms of cure, the possibility of the use of supermineral water is wide and open in the cosmetic arena. Women whose worry ranges from aging of skin, age spots, to freckles naturally look for basic cosmetic goods that contain chemicals that can enhance the metabolism of the skin cells. Products that are developed containing minerals will, without a doubt, receive a spotlight. By making a solution using strong acid that can kill bacteria, which our supermineral water is, will exhibit its disinfecting power against such institutional hospital diseases like staphylococcus. This is evident from an experiment conducted by an acquaintance of mine in his lab, to whom I asked the result. As far as an unexpected result goes, we saw conspicuous evidence in the reduction of obesity. If you lower the blood sugar level in diabetics, the obesity will disappear. As the metabolism heightens, normal physiological activity takes place. In the process, the energy is consumed as intended. A very healthy body is maintained thusly, which translates to a prevention of obesity. In addition, we learned that this water was effective against blood diseases and autonomic imbalance issue. Because our supermineral water has the power to increase the power of immune systems, we can look forward to the day when illnesses associated with AIDS, which occurs when our body is not totally ready to combat, can also be properly treated. It has been clear from our experience that symptoms of cancers, diabetes, and other illnesses all improve by taking missing minerals into our body. However, how these minerals work to invigorate the body's cells and enzymes has not been scientifically proven yet. This is the reason today's medical community's awareness is not where they should be. It is regrettable, but I predict before long this matter will be made clear. Take Korean carrots, propolis, and other Chinese medicines, for example. They all contain all sorts of minerals. It is said that hot springs containing minerals are also good in the cure of cancer. Even those living a normal life lack minerals. There are people who say enough minerals are supplied with what we eat already. But what if I say the produce come from the ground that is devoid of minerals to begin with? From the ground that is sprayed with pesticides and fertilized with chemicals, where therefore not enough minerals in contrast to the time when these chemicals were not used equals inorganic approach. Truthfully, today there are many patients who return to their workplace after they made a complete recovery thanks to supermineral water. Don't wait until we get to learn what mechanism from these minerals works in what way. We have no choice but to use supermineral water. I believe I have been persuasive in telling you the huge possibility about supermineral water. As I have used supermineral water, I have witnessed the effectiveness of minerals against cancer treatment beyond my wildest imagination. When I first started using supermineral water for a medical treatment, I thought the whole thing was a miracle. Since then, I have been able to feel that this was an inevitable work of minerals all during the course of various applications of them for my patients. People may think it is barbaric that I use inorganic matters of supermineral water for medical treatments. However, the most important mission for practicing doctors is whether we can cure or not cure diseases. Today, it is said that there is no special drug to cure cancer. It is my firm belief that now we know that supermineral water works, we should take advantage of it.